What's up, everybody? Marv the Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. And today, y'all, we are looking at The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 123. This issue came out in May of 1973, and the cover date is August of 1973. And today we are seeing one heck of a battle here between Luke Cage and The Amazing Spider-Man. What is this all about? Luke Cage, hero for hire. This is going to be a classic issue that we're going to be looking at today. So let's go ahead and get started. And today's title is Just a Man Called Cage. This issue is brought to you by Jerry Conway, who wrote this issue. We have Gil Kane and John Romita teaming up on the artwork. Also, Mortolero on the inking. Artie Simek on the lettering page. Dave Hunt, the colorist. Roy Thomas on the editing. And we're picking up right off where we left off last issue with the death of the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn. Spider-Man went head-to-head with the Green Goblin last issue, and he confronted Gwen Stacy's killer, who was none other than the Green Goblin. And if you missed out on that issue, you need to go back and rewatch or watch issue number 122. I covered that in quite amount of detail, and this is now the aftermath of Norman Osborn's apparent death here. And we see that on the scene here we have J. Jonah Jameson and Joe Robertson, and we see that Jameson here has a vendetta for Spider-Man. We've known this for all this time. He has such a hatred for Spider-Man, and now he's going to make sure that Spider-Man is going to pay for the death of Norman Osborn, as he automatically assumes that Spider-Man is the one that's guilty of Norman Osborn's death. And, you know, we see Joe Robertson trying to calm him down, but Jameson says, "Are you trying to tell me that freak may be innocent? Watch yourself, Robertson. I don't pay my city editors to argue with me." He said, "No, my friend, this time we've got him. This time there can't be any mistake. Spider-Man is guilty, and he's going to die." And he gets into his cab and drives away. And Joe Robertson just has to think about this. He says, "It's part of the game. You put your career on the line every day, every time you publish a newspaper. If you don't believe in yourself, you're finished. If you want the truth, JJJ's one of the more easygoing print people. Believe me, he is a sweetheart." And from the rooftop, we see the silhouette of that man who took off Norman Osborn's Green Goblin costume. And in this issue, we're not revealed as to who this person is, but he definitely has also a vendetta against Spider-Man. As he says, Norman Osborn, his death will start a public outcry for justice. Read revenge. If I hadn't removed the Goblin's costume, all this would be over. Now it is only beginning. And the death of Spider-Man will be its end. Who is this person that basically took off the costume of the Green Goblin and hid the body of Norman Osborn? That is something we're going to have to ponder, and we won't find out in this issue. But as we see, Jameson is in his cab, and he's pondering how he's going to deal with the threat of Spider-Man. He looks at the Daily Bugle newspaper, and he sees an ad in it about hero for hire, Luke Cage. And he gets this grand scheme, thinking, you know, this is the best way that I can capture Spider-Man by hiring this guy right here. But meanwhile, our favorite web slinger is attending the love of his life's funeral right now. He's at Gwen Stacy's funeral with his Aunt May. We have Mary Jane Watson, Flash Thompson, Betty Leeds. You even have Joe Robertson here, and they're all mourning the death of Gwen. It was just an unfair thing that happened to her. She was caught right in the middle of that battle in issue 121 with Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. Aunt May says, "She was so young, Peter. Why do old fools like me live on when someone with her whole life is ahead of her?" But we see Peter's just like, "I don't know. There's some things I just can't explain." Flash tries to add his condolences to Peter, but he can't really say much, and he just walks away. Peter's left just feeling empty inside. He feels angry because Jameson wasn't at the funeral, mainly because he's been plotting against Spider-Man. And see, Mary Jane is just trying to do her best to cheer up her friend, Peter Parker, but nothing seems to be working. Meanwhile, we see Jameson is going to go and locate Hero for Hire, Luke Cage, and he witnesses Luke Cage just throw this guy right through this glass door. And Luke Cage is no one to mess with, as Jameson is soon going to find out here. And he just wants to talk with him, but he definitely feels threatened by Luke Cage. I mean, Luke Cage is a pretty big guy. He's like 300 pounds, nothing but muscle. Jameson entices Luke Cage with a big wad of bills here, and he's going to offer Luke Cage $5,000 to capture Spider-Man, dead or alive. And so that is what we're going to see here. We're going to see this manhunt for Spider-Man here, as Spider-Man's swinging through the city. He's still thinking about everything that's transpired over these last 24 hours with the death of Gwen Stacy. Then you have the death of Norman Osborn, so much to take in. And he's thinking about just hanging it up for good because so many people that he loves has gotten into harm's way. And he's just basically done with the superhero business. He's done with this game. Well, it looks like he's going to get the answers to his concerns here as Luke Cage leaps off the top of this building and tackles Spider-Man in midair here. And they come crumbling down here on this building. And I mean, this is where all the action takes place, y'all. We got some good action scenes here drawn by John Romita and Gil Kane here. And oh wow, just look at this stuff here. This is great stuff. Early Bronze Age action. Gotta love it. Spider-Man's like, I know who you are. You're Luke Cage. And you're just in it for the money. And I mean, they are basically evenly matched here. As Spider-Man and Luke Cage are fighting here, Spider-Man saves himself by using the web line here. And he swings up on top, but he's then caught by Luke Cage with a left hook right here. Then Spider-Man is going to jump right back into the fray. He says, hey, don't look so surprised, friend. Sure, I guessed your secret. You must weigh at least 300 pounds, all of it muscle. Solid muscle, brother. And that's no jive. Seems you think all this fighting's just a game, but you're wrong. I've been fighting all my life, masked man. So don't go giving me mouth about my being nothing but a mercenary, 'cause mister, it just don't cut it. Well, Spider-Man has had enough, and he punches Luke Cage, and he falls through this skyline here. And Spider-Man's had enough. He's going to leave the scene, but Luke Cage definitely has not forgotten his battle with Spider-Man, as he will soon pop up here in a couple of minutes. Spider-Man returns to his apartment that he shares with Harry Osborn. He's trying to just decompress here after everything that's happened. And he notices that Harry is in the apartment as well. But Harry is not in the mood for talking, as the past couple of issues have shown Harry Osborn, for some reason, has become very bitter towards Peter Parker and doesn't want anything to do with him. And Peter has definitely noticed, and he's like, fine, roommate, if you don't want to talk, you get silence. Catch you later. He meets with MJ at this college party. She's just trying her best to cheer him up, so she brings him to this party. But this party is going to be soon interrupted by Luke Cage as he crashes through this door. And he says, I know you're here, wall crawler. Show your face. And he's just making a honest guess here. I mean, he doesn't know if he is if Spider-Man's here or not, but he knows that Spider-Man frequents the ESU campus, so it's a lucky guess. Well, Peter Parker sneaks into the bathroom, changes to Spider-Man, and then is going to tackle Luke Cage once again. And this is where the battle picks up from where it was. Luke Cage and Spider-Man, like I said, are evenly matched. Luke Cage is bitter because Spider-Man called him out as just being a mercenary, and he didn't like that. And Luke Cage's main priority is to capture Spider-Man and bring him back to J. Jonah Jameson because that's what he was hired to do. But Spider-Man is going to reason with Luke Cage as he lands a few punches, and he's going to then web him down. And he's like, look, I need to talk with you. Will you at least listen to me? There's a lot of things I need to tell you about Jameson that you don't know about. And he says, fine, man. All I was mad about was that you said I was a money grabber. He says, well, maybe I need to be listening as well because I got into the business as seeking for pay as well, going all the way back to Amazing Fantasy 15. Well, now we are in the epilogue. We're at the Daily Bugle. We see Joe Robertson speaking with Betty Leeds, and she's basically, saying, what's that noise in Jameson's office? Well, out comes Luke Cage here, and he says, don't sweat it, sister. Your publisher man's real fine. I just had to return some money he gave me. Turns out I couldn't take the job after all. And we see Jameson's mouth full of money as he's choking on the money that he gave Luke Cage. Well, then we return to the party here, and Mary Jane is like, Peter, you almost walked past me. He says, oh, sorry, MJ. I guess my mind was on other things. Just had a talk with someone, and it suddenly made me realize, hey, I'm not really alone after all. And so it looks like the friendship between Peter Parker and Mary Jane is blossoming here. And that is where we're going to leave off on this issue. Next, we have the Mark of the Man-Wolf. It's a new villain coming up next issue in issue 124. I hope to see y'all there. Go ahead now and drop a like on this video. Comment down below what you thought about this issue, and I will see y'all in the next one.